for the Weekly Reset. Big news this week. Obviously, we're a couple of days late, but new expansion has been announced. World of Warcraft Legion. I, for one, am excited. Let's really quickly go over what we know so far as the story, because personally that's one of my favorite parts. So, curtain comes up, they show us the video at Gamescom, and everybody's all excited, and it shows Gul'dan kind of hobbling around, and then all of a sudden, boom, he walks up to this big Fel Crystal thing, and he, like, puts his hands on it, and he's like, and tries to do Warlock shit to it, and then all of a sudden, Illidan fucking Stormrage shows up. He's back with a vengeance. So that's what we know so far, kind of. What have we got today, Tragedy?
Well, a few things we were talking about. I think since it was a big reveal, we should probably go into Illidan a little bit, just because I think that's the big thing people are looking forward to.
Sure. So, what we know about Illidan, obviously, it's our Illidan, and make no mistake, everybody, it is our Illidan. A lot of people got really... Flying off the handle seems to be the WoW community's theme for this particular expansion.
Yeah, they kind of made a lot of assumptions that this Illidan was an AEU Illidan, and that's not the case. This is our Illidan. Mm-hmm. He just happened to have been woken up by the alternate universe Gul'dan is all that happened to happen.
Right, yeah. So if you go to the worldofwarcraft.com website, which is kind of their flagship for new expansions, you will see that there is, in fact, a little bio tab for Illidan, and just to kind of sum it up, it even says, hey, after we defeat him in the Black Temple, Illidan's body mysteriously vanishes, and a lot of people believe that the Warden Maiev Shadowsong is behind it. Now, those of you that have played through the Black Temple or are a lore fan, you will know the Huntress is nothing without the hunt. Were the famous last words, I guess, well, sort of famous last words of Illidan to Maiev Shadowsong. And it's, again...
Which, looking at the lore, I mean, she kind of does go a little crazy afterwards without not much to do. I think still taking the lore, we don't know where she is, do we? She sort of went MIA.
Yeah, she went straight Ahab, going for Illidan, following him into the, into Outlands, and then, she kind of just disappears after that. We do see some other wardens, namely in Warlords of Draenor. There is one particular warden that, if I remember right, actually turns out to be working for Gul'dan.
That is correct. It was Cordana, I believe, is her name.
Yeah. So we know that the wardens obviously cannot be trusted. Tinfoil hat alert. I'm calling it right now. AU. I always want to say EU. AU Gul'dan makes it to our world, and he uses the help of the wardens to, to break him free. Kind of like Alisra at the, what was it, at the beginning of Cataclysm, when you go to Mount Hyjal, and she helps, she's quote-unquote evacuating, that's what, or something like that, transferring the prisoner, and the prisoner turns out to be Fandral Staghelm, and then we find out she's actually flipped a bitch and is working for Ragnaros. That's what I think is going to happen. Any thoughts?
I agree with you, and one of the big things that has really been absent is that we've gotten some information as to how Illidan's going to fit in, or rather, the fact that his arc will be across the entire expansion. Mm-hmm. What we haven't been given any hint to is how his role will play out. Is he a villain? Is he an ally? And I think that the fact that information has so far been omitted sort of makes me want to think that we'll be seeing him more of an ally in terms of anything else as opposed to a villain for this expansion.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. I'm thinking what is going to happen is that Illidan is going to get woken up with the intentions of basically being a puppet to Gul'dan. Now, any of you with information as to Illidan's backstory know that Illidan isn't really the biggest fan of being somebody's puppet. That guy always has his own ulterior motives. He's always playing some different sort of angle. So my thought on it, or my tinfoil hat theory, is that he's gonna get broken out. Gul'dan's gonna be like, haha, I freed you, now you have to help me, and Illidan's gonna be like, I don't have to do shit, I'm Illidan fucking Stormrage. And then here we are.
Right, and going on back into his original story, his original background, with Illidan, we do see a little bit of a tragic hero in that his original intentions were sort of good, or could be seen from his point as, the better ends to means, and, we see him more as a villain, but if you actually look into his lore, there's a little bit of reasoning why he's doing it, and he feels it's the better decision for his people and for Tran and everything else. So that just lends me more to thinking that when we see him this time around, we'll be working with him, or at least having the same goal as he does.
Dude, I really hope we get some sort of super ridiculous love triangle, and Tyrande leaves Malfurion for Illidan, and then the cycle is complete.
I think that would be awesome. I don't think a lot of people. I don't know if they'll do that because I think a lot of people love the Malfurion Tyrande relationship.
Sure.
But if she did leave him for Illidan, which would be brother to brother, I can't say a lot of people would be terribly disappointed either.
Right. So that there's a lot going on about the lore. One of the biggest things that I want to cover before we go on with anything else that we have planned for the show tonight is, quite frankly, we don't have a lot of information. Now, we have a lot of, changes that are going to be made, but we don't have a lot of information. We don't know. We don't know. Now, it's been stated several times over the weekend as the WoW community freaked its collective shit out on the Blizzard devs. The Blizzard devs have said straight up, hey, with Warlords of Draenor, we gave you guys a lot of information, and unfortunately we had to cut a lot of it, therefore you were pissed. So they've made it fairly clear this time around they're keeping fairly tight-lipped, and they're only releasing little bits of information, and of course, the community, in all of its infinite fucking wisdom, has lost its shit again. Now...
Yeah, that really will be our theme for this week, is we don't have a lot of information.
Yeah, now those of you out there watching... understand, this is in no way, shape, or form a personal jab at any one of you or anything like that, but on the whole, the hive mind needs to chill the fuck out. You are not the only people that were disappointed with the Warlords of Draenor. You are not the only people that feel like you've been lied to by Blizzard and that you're owed some sort of apology, explanation, anything like that. But at the same time, act like responsible human fucking beings. Act like adults, although many of you are children. There's no way around that. Just be respectful. Blizzard is not trying to ruin the World of Warcraft because they hate you. So, that's really, on to the next one. We did get what is possibly going to be the highlight of this expansion and my entire World of Warcraft playing career. Tragedy, I think you're just as excited as I am. Motherfucking Demon Hunter.
For sure.
Motherfucking Demon Hunter is finally here. What we know about the Demon Hunter is they're going to be badasses. Elves only. Potentially going to start at level 95 to 100, maybe 90. Some people on the forums are like, they should really start at 70. No, go fuck yourself. That's a terrible idea. Look at Death Knights. Death Knights were pissed that they had to start at level 60 and do an entire expansion's worth of content prior to the one that they wanted to do. It made no sense having the Death Knights in Outland. Period. And
yeah, being able to go straight and being a Demon Hunter when you roll this next expansion, having it start at a higher level is going to be great for those that just want to go get into the class, not play through 40, 50 levels of leveling that they've already done once before on other characters. Especially with a new class like that. We don't want to go back to where you go into Hellfire Ramparts and all you see is 5 Death Knights. That's just, we don't want that. Or 5 Demon Hunters, I should say, right. Yeah.
Triggered.
So the cool thing about it is with the launch of Legion, what we've been told so far is we're going to have the ability to roll Demon Hunters at a much higher level. They keep saying 95 to 100. You'll also get a boost, so if it isn't at 100, you can just boost it right to 100 if you want to use it on that. So lots of ways to just go straight into it. They've been talking about the fact that, yeah, we'll be getting a boost with the expansion as well.
Okay, I like that idea. I'm down with that, actually. So, what else we know about the Demon Hunters? They're going to be agi, leather-wearing melee, and a lot of you monks, monks, I'm going to come back to you boys, but a lot of you people, rogues, druids, have all been crying, there's another agi melee that uses leather. And I've seen a lot of you monks out there that are like, Demon Hunters are just copying our class. No, go fuck yourself. Demon Hunters were here first. Chin Stormstout doesn't fucking count. Okay? He was a joke. Deal with it.
And we don't mean joke as in a terrible character. I mean, he was literally an April Fool's joke.
He was an Easter egg. Chen
Not to
Stormstout
throw
was
shade out at Chen Stormstout. Just
no,
he was intended as a joke originally.
He was an Easter egg that spawned an expansion that people hated, and now people are like, it was a really good expansion. Make up your fucking mind, community.
And keep in mind, we're gonna throw some anger, or not just anger, but disappointment, sort of like a disappointed parent
Right.
when it comes to the community. Because if you go read the forums, and this includes the official forums in the MMO Champion and Reddit, there's a lot of just senseless anger, and this is why we mentioned that Right, and that's why we mentioned that the theme of this week is really going to be we don't have the info, and that's because we're making a lot of speculation about things we haven't got a lot of confirmation on. It's still early on. We haven't even, as a matter of fact, it hasn't even been a full week. In 3 days, it'll be a full week since the expansion was announced, and that was only revealed. We didn't get any gameplay available. We've seen a couple small snippets of like Demon Heart gameplay and some, in-game cinematic-ish stuff, but nothing really big. So when we go into the forums and people are just pissed and angry and really, and I'm going to throw this out to the rogues right now, we're seeing things like Ravenhold or Riots, which at first I was sort of in agreement with the fact that, there are some things they're upset about, but the way it's being handled, and you can't say something like, oh, well, people won't treat it like a riot, people won't really get upset. No, people do. And it's been shown by the forums that's exactly the line we're going down. So we really got to take this with open minds and a little bit of a grain of salt. Yeah, we haven't been happy with the way devs have communicated with us, but at the same time, like Brandon was saying, we can't be given a lot of information without going overboard if it doesn't turn out the way that they told us initially.
Yeah, so essentially what a lot of people need to realize is that we are kind of at a very precarious spot when it comes to expansion development. Now, one thing I want to set aside is that all you haters that are like, oh, they're rehashing old content because they lost a bunch of subscribers. No, we know for a fact that they've been working on Legion for a while now. We also, know that they've been several expansions ahead, even if it's just in the planning phase of the expansion. There are several expansions ahead. Like, they have this road mapped out, and those of you that have been around for a while know that, there was, at one point in time, there's been all the leaks and everything, and there was the one that was, like, the master leak back around the time of Vanilla/Burning Crusade, that, like, detailed expansions almost up until this point in time, and in some ways actually wasn't inaccurate. So we know that they planned this stuff ahead of time. So just the whole, people getting upset because they're like, oh, they're rehashing it. No, Blizzard didn't, submit their what was it, Q3?
Yeah, Q3,
yeah,
I think.
Q3 earnings report and say, oh, dude, we're down to 5.6 million subscribers. Bring back Illidan. Bring back the Demon Hunters. We need everything. All hands on deck. Now, this is something they've been working on for a while. So,
and just throw it out there, if it was that easy to develop things that quickly, they would have been doing so this entire fucking time. It's not, like you said, it's not like they read the forums a week before the the announcement and said, quick, let's go make mock-ups right now. They didn't do that. This is something they were working on while we were upset. And I'll be honest, I wasn't too happy with Warlords. No. But it's something they've been working on since then.
Right. Now, here's how I look at it. Here's how I look at it. So, you think about it. They said that they've been in development of the Legion expansion for roughly 1.5 to 2 years, if that.
At least.
Right. So, that means that, if my math isn't correct, right around the time that we were all stuck in a year's worth of Siege of Orgrimmar, they were working on this expansion. Which means
correct.
That maybe, just maybe, we're going to get, like, some sort of reparations for that expansion. Or, well, rather...
And that's just them working on the actual development and coding. When you actually talk to... in some of the past interviews that when they've done with devs is storyboarding for the expansion itself starts way before that.
Right.
So there's a very likely possibility that when MOP was coming out, they were already doing storyboarding for Legion, which seems to be the case.
Right. So, obviously, again, we kind of stressed it. We don't really know a whole lot. We just know that Illidan is here. There's going to be Demon Hunters. There's going to be Demon Hunters.
Some class changes.
There's going to be Demon Hunters. I don't know if I said that the first time. There will be, in fact, Demon Hunters.
Which we did forget a couple things about Demon Hunters.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people are upset that Melee, that's another Melee class, which I can understand. But I start thinking about it, people that are playing Melee are already going to play Melee.
Right.
And I don't think that there's, especially with casters or ranged DPS, that's now less competition that you have.
Right.
A lot of people don't play, a lot more people play Melee. When looking at statistics, that's just what happens.
Yep.
So I'm really happy about that. There are 2 specs to it. They didn't try and shoehorn in a third spec just for the hell of it. There's no Demon Hunter healing spec or no ranged, tank spec or anything like that. It's just melee tank and melee DPS.
Strangely enough.
But I understand from what they're saying. I mean, as Chilton was saying, it's either we can make up a third one that's going to feel really similar to the other DPS spec, or we can just leave it at 2 specs and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
which I'm so glad they did.
No problem with that, actually. I'm really excited that they're only doing the 2 specs. Personally, I hope we start to see more classes that only have 2, or maybe even in the case of like druids have 4.
I've actually seen people make the request that subtlety and assassination for rogues sort of be merged into one thing.
Right.
And I can't say I would disagree with that either. I sort of like the idea is why have several different.
Yeah, I mean, on the topic of well, that's a whole nother can of worms we could open up. But on the topic of some of the class changes, actually, there's 2 things. There's a 2-parter I want to talk about. One, on the topic of class changes, with Warlords of Draenor, they said, hey, we really want to kind of bring it back to the basics, the fundamentals of what your class is, or they use the term core fantasy of your particular class. So we have seen that hunters are officially getting a melee spec.
In survival.
In survival. Survival will now be a melee hunter spec, just like it sort of was back in the day. We are also going to see Frost Death Knight move to a pure dual wield spec. Now, what that means for, say, Fury Warrior, I don't know. To be truthful, I'm hoping and I'm thinking they're going to keep Titan's Grip, because Titan's Grip is what makes Fury Warriors unique. And to quote Asmongold, just a pure, just golden quote from him in regards to Fury Warriors, I don't play single-minded Fury because I'm not a bitch. So, Titan's Grip all
Yeah,
day.
single-minded Fury to me has always felt sort of like the half-step to a combat rogue.
Right?
Just my opinion, just the way I see it. But yeah, I would be interested to see if this carries over to their classes. In addition to that, we're also seeing sort of a rework with the Warlock classes, or the Warlock specs.
Yeah, because
which I'm really happy about.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, because one of the things that always bothered me, and I haven't played Warlock, and my wife plays as a main, but one of the things that always sort of seemed weird to me is Demonology. I expected to be more of a tank or a pet class focusing on fucking demons instead of just becoming one, which is what they're doing in Legion. It's exactly the line that they're going.
Yep.
So I'm really happy with that. And this goes back to the class fantasy, how you want to see your character lore-wise. And if this is something we can expect, then I'm really happy for that, especially when it comes to, and I'm sure we're going to be getting to this soon, class halls should also help strengthen that class identity.
Yes. One thing I did want to point out, too, for all of you Demonology Warlocks, the reason you guys are getting reformed is because your kick-ass brothers in the Demon Hunter group, we are actually getting metamorphosis of our own. So we will be turning into fucking badass-looking demons. So, sorry guys, new kid on the block. So, but class halls, actually, that's one thing that I would like to actually get into really quickly. Class halls, one of the big things they, want to do is kind of bring the community back to World of Warcraft. I know that, as everybody knows, with Warlords of Draenor, we had garrisons. And garrisons, while not a bad concept, were bad. Actually.
Right, and it goes back into what we've said about the community before, is that when you make something easy, when you have 2 paths, one that's easy and efficient, and one that's not as easy but just as efficient, you're always going to go least resistance. And that's what happened. Garrisons gave you access to everything that you could do. You could have your bank in there, you could have your you could have everything that you would have had in a main city, including an auction house if you so desired. You can still be in trade. There's no reason to venture outside your garrison. A lot of people did exactly that. They did not leave the garrison. They queued for everything from their garrison. They talked, in trade. There was no reason to leave. And now I'm glad that we're seeing things like class halls and a hub city, so that maybe we can go back and see these other players on the server and go back, into just random chats with them, hanging out, just being. I miss that about past expansions, whether it was being even back in Orgrimmar during Cata. We're still talking to people on the server. And I really miss it. I'm glad that this is happening. I think this is a great move by Blizzard to strengthen class identity, strengthening server community. I don't see anything wrong with this at all, but people are still upset.
Yeah, let's not forget, too, all those times that you said, man, I really wish they would bring back Dalaran. They're bringing back Dalaran.
Exactly.
They're bringing back Dalaran.
What you wish for.
Right, and there's still people that are...
And which, again, I'm happy about it. And this goes back to the rehashing old content comment that we hear. And you know what? I might just have a thing next week where I say all the comments that people have been leaving about the new expansion, right, because it really sort of
this is a rehash
right
comment.
It sort of reads like those YouTube segments of reading mean tweets. That's really what it's becoming down to. People are pissed.
Blizzard should do that. We need to somebody get me on the phone with Tom Chilton. No, I need Chris Metzen. Somebody call Chris Metzen right now.
Reading mean comments.
Right, Chris Metzen reads mean comments. Leave Samwise out of it though. He's too goddamn nice.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. His beard is just. Right? I just want to sleep in his beard forever.
I do.
But yeah, I mean, when it comes to this, look, and this is where it bothers me. Some people really forget that recurring characters and recurring places can happen in a storyline. You're not going to get mad at, and granted Tolkien has long since passed away, but you're not going to get mad at him for mentioning Ents in one book and then mentioning them again in another book. You're not going to get mad at Star Wars for bringing back the idea of Tatooine or something like that. It's just going to happen because guess what? It's a place that's very strong or very closely tied to the core lore.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we're moving Dalaran, but Dalaran has always, keep in mind, always been this really fucking magey, weird, arcane, powery place. If it wants to fucking move around, Dalaran will do that. Yep. It's a city that sort of has a mind of its own.
Yep.
So them bringing it back, I'm happy with that. It doesn't bother me because it's a city we know, it's a city we loved. Most of us, I'm pretty sure most of us loved it, and. Yeah, I mean, what's wrong with that? It's great to see this. It's something that we've wanted. It's something a lot of people have asked for. Even jokingly, bring back Dalaran. Well, they did, and I'm excited.
Well, they did. Yeah, Dalaran is back, and it's going to be amazing. Now, we talked a little bit about class halls, and we talked a little bit about how the idea behind class halls is to help bring back class, identity and everything like that. I think it's going to be a great step in the right direction. Now, for those of you not in the know, I'm just going to cover this very quickly, which is why I'm talking faster. Class halls essentially are going to be like Garrisons 2.0 in that you are going to go there, you will be able to send out members of your particular order, be it paladins, warriors, hunters, death knights, warlocks, so on and so forth, on specific missions pertaining to your class. So, we are seeing them move away from the sort of like, hey, raise an army of just a bunch of random fucking people that you send on chores and stuff like that to, you're going to be sending members of your order on missions of importance to the storyline. Now, each class hall is going to be specific to the class, and when I say specific to the class, I mean that it is going to be design-wise centered around your particular class, meaning that, say, for instance,
we're going to be seeing paladins in a cavern under Light's Hall.
Potentially.
Or not Light's Hope. There we go.
Yes, potentially under Light's Hope. Now, again, we don't know yet. They haven't really said. They kind of mentioned, hey, maybe it'll be under Light's Hope Chapel, but they didn't really confirm it, so I don't really want to say that.
Right, that's the sort of idea, though, that they're thinking about, is that each area will have something relevant to your class, something that makes you feel like, oh, this is a fucking warlock area, this is a fucking hunter area, which is what you want. I mean, how many times do we want... Yeah, exactly. How many times have we wanted something that feels like it's just fucking us? I mean, how many people were really jealous of warlocks and paladins for having their own mount quests? How many people were jealous... Yeah, exactly. And Death Knights with the Actors. How many people were retroactively, I shouldn't say at the time, but retroactively jealous that classes like Druids and Shamans had very long involved quest lines just for some of their core abilities like Totems and Shapeshift. These things were really great in terms of making you feel like your class, in terms of making you really feel closely tied to your class. Like, I am a fucking rogue. I am this badass warrior. That's what we love feeling. These are characters, these are pixels, but we sort of want to have a connection to them, and that's what we're going to get, hopefully, with these class halls, especially with the way that they're designing them. One thing that to me is going to be really great is, in that I'm sure we're about to get into, is that this instance area, I guess I would assume it's instance, is not going to be solely just you. It's going to be every other person of the same class will have access to this area. I believe for now we know it's just server, but I think they've talked about other stuff as well. But it's going to be all paladins in one area, all rogues in one area, all hunters in one area. So you can actually see some of these other players that, you know, either are going to be at a much higher caliber than you can talk to, or people that are just starting out that you can talk to and get a community in that sense going. It's awesome. It's great. We have our own little place. And we said Garrisons 2.0, and we say that only because it's the closest thing that's happened in game that we can compare it to.
Even they use that in the context of it's going to be similar to I want to say it was like in the Icy Veins interview the day after Gamescom, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, and that's again, a lot of people were disappointed with Garrisons. Like we said, there was a lot of good to it. It just the execution didn't work out. Right. But that's sort of the closest thing anyone has right now to compare it to in game.
Mm-hmm. So that being said, we've got these new order halls and these new fancy ideas, and oh, by the way, artifact weapons. So that was another big thing. Let's talk about artifact weapons really quick here. So Blizzard, is effectively doing away with weapon drops, which I'm all for, because fuck that noise. That's a pain in the ass.
There's always been the case where you start off as a new character or an alt, and the weapon is always somebody's biggest DPS boost, and we've always been in that situation where we have almost all epics and we still have the one blue weapon. This eliminates that need to have to go find a weapon drop. You just have one, and it sort of upgrades with you, doesn't it, Bran?
Yes, so the way that these weapons are going to work is you are going to be given a weapon that is some relevant to your class. Paladins are getting Ashbringer, Shaman are getting the Doom Hammer, Marksmanship Hunters are getting a family heirloom bow from the Windrunners, Frost Death Knights are getting some shards of Frostmourne, so on and so forth. Now, that being said, again, we only have a couple little tidbits, so we don't know what all the specs are getting and everything. Each spec, all 36 specs, are going to get their own unique weapon. What is going to happen is you're going to get this weapon at the beginning of the Legion expansion, and that weapon is going to level up and grow with you as you go along. It will have its own talent tree, relic slots, so on and so forth. Those of you that have played Star Wars: The Old Republic, the artifact lightsaber hilts that you can get in that game, wherein they are an orange item hilt, and you just add enhancements and so on and so forth, level the weapon up. It has a base DPS that you then increase by, putting enhancements in it. It's the same idea as that. I think it's kind of cool, personally, because, again, I mean, if you think about it, really, all weapons is a stat stick. You're going to be able to transmog this particular weapon. You're going to be able to make it look like whatever you want. Each individual weapon will also have its own plethora of skins you can unlock, from raiding, from PvP, from quest lines, from you fucking name it, you'll be able to unlock it. So people are up in arms because, oh my god, every paladin is gonna get the Ashbringer. Well, every paladin that's played this game is just as much a hero as you are now, because every paladin that's played this game within the confines of the lore has gone through and, assisted against the Dark Hammer and the Dark Iron Dwarves, and, fought against Ragnaros and traveled to Outlands, and, as you're leveling through these expansions, most people just instantly think, oh, I have to do this expansion. Within the context of the story, or your character's story, because it is an RPG, your character does have a storyline, even though your character's name is XX Trap Queen XX, they're still, they still have their own story within Warcraft. They're now a hero. We've traveled to Pandaria, we've kicked the shit out of Garrosh Hellscream, we've traveled to Draenor, we've beat the shit out of Archimonde, and Blackhand, and Kilrog Deadeye, and all of these people were fucking heroes. as opposed to not very many expansions ago, people were getting pissed because they're doing quote-unquote dumbass quests, and, oh, I've killed this. There was actually one quest that actually lampoons it and says, something along the lines of, like, I've fought in the minions of Ragnaros, and I've done this, and I've done that, and this little dwarf wants me to help him find his pants. And he's like, yes, little dwarf, I will help you because I'm a hero, I'm a champion, yada, 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 fucking yada. So, yes, you're going to get these artifact weapons. No, it's not really going to be that big of a deal because you're still going to have progress in leveling up the weapons. You're still going to have a talent tree that will be unique to the weapon, unique to the spec, so on and so forth. So, yeah, that's about my spiel on the artifact weapons.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, and I'm really happy for the artifact weapons just because, and I don't know if you remember this, but there was a Path of the Titans concept, I believe early Wrath beta, that we were sort of excited to see. It was going to be something that was in addition to the talent system, where as you progress in the storyline, and things that you could do in-game once you hit the max level, you started to get access to more and more tiers of sort of spec-relevant and some random sort of talents, like having more healing from bandages or having more damage from a certain ability. And that was sort of scrapped, I believe, before it went into open beta for Wrath. And I've always wanted to see that system come back, and that's what we're getting here. And we're also sort of getting it in another aspect of the game, which we'll get into in a little while. But I'm excited for that because it doesn't feel like your story is just done when you hit level cap. And I'm kind of excited for that because I don't like going, when it comes to WoW, just going, well, the only thing left to do is raid now. It feels like they're going to try and keep you engaged in the story and engaged with doing, they haven't said how, but feeling like there's still a reason to keep doing dungeons once you've been geared well past dungeons, doing some of these world events, doing little things here and there in the game that'll keep you engaged. Some people will see it as a grind. Some people will see it as, give me access to some of these other features in WoW that I might not be taking advantage of. So I'm excited. I'm really happy with it. And going back to the first point we made, we don't have to fucking farm weapons. We don't have to keep worrying about that. You still have to get all these other gear slots, obviously, but weapon is something that's just taken care of. So it's sort of combining the legendary system that we've had for a little while, this old Path of the Titans. It still keeps us engaged. It's still sort of our reason to keep going. And it doesn't stop when you reach level cap. It keeps going well after you hit level cap. So it's amazing to me. I'm hoping to. They haven't said if they're still going to have other legendaries in game or if this artifact system is going to be what replaces it. But for sure, we're getting this artifact system, and there are a lot of really cool weapons coming up down the pipeline that I'm really excited and happy for.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that is going to be really cool. It's going to be something different. It's going to be something unique. In all honesty, I'm kind of hoping that this kind of pulls people away from, grinding out alts and stuff. And the only reason I say that, because obviously you can have as many alts as you want. But one thing that some people, I having played with people that have one character, having played with people that have 30 billion characters, me being in that latter category, I truly find it hard to attach myself to certain characters because it's, you get in the mindset of like, oh, well, I can just, do this again. Like, I can just get this stuff again. I can do, And at least when we're going to be having these artifact weapons and these glass hulls and everything like that, at least we have some sort of reason to feel attached to our character at that point in time. I mean, obviously, there's still going to be people that are going to be like, well, I have 15 characters that I play regularly, and I need to level all of them, and it's going to be a pain with the new system. Sorry. Sucks to suck.
Yeah. Now, I have a question for you, Brand. Being somebody that exclusively plays PvP, yes. Are you excited for some of the... Okay, let me ask. As somebody who plays PvP, and for somebody like me who just plays PvE, are you excited? Because new system, as you mentioned, we're getting another new system, a new PvP system. It's actually making me want to play, so let's go over that, because this is something I'm happy for.
Absolutely. New PvP system is great. Those of you not in the know, basically what's going to happen, talking fast voice again means I'm explaining something. So, what is going to happen now? You are going to have a level system, not unlike the old school PvP system. And when I say old school, I mean like vanilla age PvP system. High Warlord, yada yada yada, you grind out the points. Nerd Lords for life. So, you're going to have a level system, and the way that level system is going to work moving forward is you're going to level your PvP talent tree Yes, I said talent tree. From level 1 to 50. So basically what that means to you is that any of you out there right now can go into PvP and level up and become just as good at PvP as other people. Do you want to know why? Because from what we've seen in the pictures, and again, we don't really know much, I'm just going based off of speculation, but the first talent that you unlock in this new PvP talent system
Oh god,
is
so
the
excited.
trinket. It is the Stun Break trinket, meaning that no longer will humans be the apex predators of PvP. Meaning that you can safely play whatever fucking race you want. And you could be...
No longer are we bound to every man
Right?
for himself.
Thank God.
You want to be a fucking Draenei, you go be a fucking Draenei. You want to be a
Get
troll,
down
go be a
with it,
troll, bitch.
Rusev. Yeah, dude, you want to be a gangly leg troll? Do it. You can do it, and that's fine, and that's awesome.
And
So-
also, they did confirm recently that there will not be PvP gear.
Really?
It's mostly gonna so it's mostly gonna rely. They're talking about having a scaling system for whatever gear you go in the BG with, and the most of the power is going to be you getting these levels in this PvP talent system. And that's going to be your strength. So now it doesn't have to be that you have a high rating, you have a good RBG team or anything like that. It's just how much, are you putting into this talent system, the way you play, and being on an even level ground, on an even playing ground with everyone else in that BG.
Now, there are a lot of you out there that are probably upset because they've removed the gearing, and a lot of you kind of come from that old school MMO train of thought. And one person in particular that I know had kind of commented on this is actually Bajira, the warrior streamer. Really great warrior, and he did an interview with WoW Krindor, and he kind of said, one of the big things for him is that kind of that constant progression and that feeling like you're getting more powerful and you're upgrading and everything like that. And for him, it was through the gear system. Because he had mentioned not really knowing how he felt about it. Now, I personally am excited because having played Guild Wars 2 and being a really big fan of their PvP, this puts it to the point where, now you don't have to spend 5 hours in queue, trying to queue up for Ashran or trying to queue up for this or trying to queue up for that because you've got to cap out your conquest points because you're 2 weeks behind because you haven't felt like doing PvP because your gear is so bad that, it eliminates that. It eliminates that, so when you hit level cap with Legion, feasibly you can go right into PvP and you could do just as good as everybody else. And you can, you don't have to worry about, those of you that PvP out there know when you make an ult and your ult hits max level, much like this warrior that I'm playing right now, you are going to have the fucking worst time of your goddamn life the first 2 days that you're playing this character. Because he's going to have no gear. He's going to hit like a limp dick. And you're going to get knocked the fuck over like just a crunchy leaf is what you are going to be. You are going to be a crunchy leaf, and that's that. But now, it's not going to be that way, because your gear is going to scale, and you're going to be able to go out, and you're going to be able to fuck shit up. And it's going to be awesome. They're bringing back Necrotic Strike, DKs. They're bringing back Necrotic Strike.
You should all be excited. That's something you guys have been wanting for a little while. Now, this all sounds great for the casual PvPer, somebody that doesn't have the time to grind that. Now, that it does sound great. But keep in mind, hardcore PvPers, they're not leaving you in the dust either. There are going to be systems in place. You guys want to be Mr. Big Dick with status? Guess what? They're still keeping that for you. There are a few different ways to do it. They are going to give some mounts and some titles and looks like maybe some transmogish gear. But there are a couple other things they're doing, and they may be reminiscent of some things we've seen in Diablo, but I'm excited for it. If you get to a certain rank, because you are going to have sort of a laddered rank thing, you can actually reset that rank and go for an even higher, is it like rating or title?
Yeah,
Prestige, there we go. That's what I was looking for.
So the way that the PvP talent system is going to work, that we know so far, is that it is going to be it's going to be set up from like levels 1 to 50, roughly.
Right, that's the initial one.
And, sorry, I just got wrecked. Anyway, so it's going to be from 1 to 50, and when you hit the level cap on it, you're going to be able to prestige, much like Call of Duty, Battlefield. When you hit a certain point, you basically reach the you're starting over, but you're not kind of starting over kind of thing. And they have said you're going to get your own customizable portrait frames. You're going to get your own special transmogs for your artifact weapon. You're going to get your own special mounts. You're going to get, I would assume, titles and things of that nature. So, there is still a progression system to unlock things. And I think, honestly, I can't really say because I don't know how it's going to happen. I know the world PvPers were up in just an absolute hissy fit, which is not unlike them, because they thought that the new PvP system was going to encroach on their world PvP, which I'm just going to say, and this is a disclaimer, this isn't against anybody in particular, but world PvP nowadays boils down to how many raid teams can we fit in one spot on the map before the server crashes, and then we can talk about how fucking great we are. So,
I need to make my comment on that, and again, because just like with Brand, I have a disclaimer. I am a hardcore PvE person. I do not PvP often. It's been a very, very long time since I've taken PvP seriously. But for world PvPers, I am sorry, but it is just not something they balance around. You guys might be sad about that, but it's just not something we think about. Hopefully in the future, Blizzard does. But you guys really aren't taking into consideration as much as you would like, and that's just the way it's going to happen. I'm sorry, it sucks. I know you guys love going to crash a server by seeing how many people you can see to, fuck each other up and Stranglethorn, whatever you want, but it's just not something we, that's considered. We are looking at, BGs and things like that. Now, aside from that, going back into the titles and the transmog and the weapon skins for your artifacts, keep in mind, I'd be thinking, oh, well, there's no reason to be, Mr. Big Dick on server having these mounts and everything. But this ties back to, guess what? Now you're going to be in the server community getting to show off this kind of shit, which we all like to be a little egotistical. We all like to be a little vain. It's going to be nice to be able to be Mr. Badass again, sitting in the middle of Dalaran.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great thing. I mean, personally, I kind of said at the beginning of the episode, hey, not everybody out there that's yelling and screaming and freaking the ever-loving fuck out is, rather, just because, we're upset doesn't mean that we have to be yelling, screaming, freaking the fuck out. I mean, personally, I kind of was let down by Warlords of Draenor. So was fucking everyone. But that
there are a lot of things I wasn't happy about, but it's how you handle it.
Exactly. That doesn't mean that you have to not be happy. Like, you don't have to act like, there's some grand conspiracy theory and they're trying to kill Warcraft off, and a lot of people I've seen on forums, on Reddit and things like that, they use the term because it's the game that I love and they are ruining it. The game that you love is the game that they made, and it's the game that they also probably love because it's the game that pays their motherfucking bills. And I think that
exactly.
I think that people are too quick to forget that. They act as if people are like, they act like, Blizzard doesn't care. Blizzard doesn't care. They're just in it for the money, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, because I'm pretty sure a lot of Blizzard likes the game. I mean, shit, we just picked up we talked about this in the last episode, but we picked up the new lead designer from WildStar. And
right.
One thing that everybody praised him for during his development of WildStar was his transparency and just his willingness to interact with the community. So, Blizzard has admitted multiple times, hey, you know what, we kind of fucked up. We dropped the ball with Warlords. We didn't really talk to you guys as much as we should have. We know. Blizzard is actively saying, hey, you know what, we did something wrong. We know. We're sorry. And
I don't know if you read, but recently Lore had a comment on Twitter that even he said, yeah, we started to clam up by the end of Warlords, but that's sort of because we promised so much at beginning of Warlords. And we touched on this earlier. They promised so much that when they did have to cut back content, and people sometimes with development that just happens, if you have any sort of serious workplace, that you've had projects that needs to be within a time frame or some sort of structure, sometimes things just get cut. There's no helping that. Just sometimes things don't work out. And there were so many people that were upset when things didn't just work out, like the way flying never came in as early as people wanted to, the fact that we never touched upon Farallon, but the fact that we never really hit upon Wrathion, even though I don't even know if it was really suggested that he would be a big part of this expansion.
Right.
just things that they can't say because it becomes sort of putting your foot in your mouth. Now people are upset that you didn't bring this in, and and on the comment, which we see a lot, they just care about the money. There's sort of an opposite side to that coin. They do care about money because that's what keeps this game going. That's what keeps their
That's what
paychecks going.
businesses do.
Exactly. And when it comes to that, yeah, they care about money. They care about continuing to make money. They're not going to just fucking kill this game for the lulz. That's not what's happening. They're trying new things because they need to keep the player base engaged. And that's what happens. And when you try new things, sometimes it just doesn't fucking pan out.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
take everything with an open mind. If you need to be just a little bitter about things, that's fine. I know I personally am upset about a lot of things when it comes to Warlords and the way Blizzard handled Warlords, but it doesn't mean that I can't look at this expansion and go, you know what? This is a new expansion. There are new things every expansion. I'm going to take this on. Yeah, I'm going to take this on with as much of an open mind as I can because this is a game that I love, and I know it's a game that the Blizzard developers love because this has been their life. This has been at least 10 years of their life
If not more.
that they've been doing this.
Well, you
Exactly.
You got to think a lot of these guys, especially like Chris Metzen, and I don't know if Afrasiabi was there, but I know Sam Wise and all of them have been working
Right.
on Warcraft since probably the late '80s, early '90s. You know,
This has been their life.
This is their magnum. I mean, that's like saying that's like when people freak the fuck out about the the original, or I'm sorry, the prequels, and was like George Lucas doesn't give a shit about Star Wars. No, George Lucas gives more of a shit about Star Wars than most of you people, because that's it. That's his baby. That is his creation. You know, you just using that as an example. But again, we've ranted a lot about that, and I really, I feel like it's one of those things that you just gotta roll with it, guys. You gotta roll with it. If you truly like the game and you truly are about World of Warcraft, then you'll keep an open mind. And I mean, if you're not and you're upset and you don't want to play, then don't play. I mean, honestly, there's a little catchphrase I like to think of, when stuff like this happens. It's okay to not like things, but don't be a dick about the things you don't like.
Yes, exactly. And just to touch on it, this has been a game that's been out for 10 years, and a lot of people are very dissatisfied with it. And as Brandon was saying, sometimes you sort of do just need to walk away. If you're just not having fun with anything that happens, walk away a little bit. Some people will come back to the game and had just much more fun, and some people just go, you know what, it wasn't for me.
Yep.
We're not here to make you guys play well. We understand just as much as anything else. Sometimes it's just not for you, but you need to be able to make the decision to go, this just isn't what I enjoy anymore. I think I'll just walk away for now.
Yeah,
or ever, whatever you want to do.
But
when you're dragging everyone else down with, your forum posts, you're screaming to guildies, you're screaming on your BNet client, just take a deep breath and just to either take things with an open mind and be ready for new things, or just walk away for a little while.
Absolutely. As somebody that has played World of Warcraft, and I think, honestly, I think some of the best people to get feedback from the game, in some regards, mind you, some of the best people to get feedback from the game are the on-again, off-again players. Because these, like myself, which I've been slightly more serious in recent years, but as an on-again, off-again player, I'll play, and I will play the shit out of this game. I mean, I will play for hours on end, and I will do anything that I can do, and I'll do raids and everything like that, and then I'll stop for 6 months, maybe 5 months, 8 months, depending, and I'll go play another game, and then I'll come back, and I'll just be, oh, I'm so excited. I did that with Warlords of Draenor. I, was excited with what was it? Pandaria. Duh. When they announced Pandaria, I was like, yeah, I don't really know if I'm going to be into that expansion, whatever. At the end of Cataclysm, I stopped playing, came back during Pandaria, played Pandaria, really liked Pandaria. And, it's one of those things that you guys have a lot of these reservations, again, because we know how Warlords of Draenor panned out, and a lot of people are trying to call Legion Warlords of Draenor 2. I think that's kind of unfair. We don't know, again, I mean, I guess to stop rambling and really surmise everything, we don't know what the expansion is going to be like. If you are on the fence about it, and you truly are not sure how you feel about it, if you do not get into the beta, do me a favor, do Blizzard a favor, do our entire community a favor. Think before you buy it. Watch someone play it. Check out your favorite streamer. Check out, Twitch TV. Watch people like myself who just kind of play to have fun and aren't really here to, pitch something at you. And at the same time, remember, don't just dislike something because someone you're a fan of dislikes it. Form your own opinions around it. Oh, wait, this priest wants to fight me? Why is this priest want to fight me?
Well, while you're killing that priest,
Right.
hopefully you're killing that priest, I sort of want to add to that. If you are the sort of person that loves WoW, and you just don't see yourself quitting, but you really, really are worried about how Legion's going to come out, I'm going to give you some advice that I think the WoW devs, for one, appreciate, players such as myself and Brand that are always trying to be open-minded about things would appreciate, and that the community as a whole could benefit from. Sign up for the beta.
Absolutely.
And if you get beta access, when you get the beta and you go on there and things aren't working or things aren't to your liking, there are forums and there are tickets you can open in game. And when you make these statements on your tickets or your forum post, be constructive. Don't just go, this fucking sucks. This is the end of WoW. This is why I hate playing. I don't know why you guys play this game anymore. No, go, you know what? This is, when you make your forum post or you make your ticket, just say, hey, this thing I don't really like for this reason, or it's not working. This is a bug interaction. I don't know if this is really going to be beneficial to the way somebody would want to play on live. Be really, really analytical about why you don't like it and what you could do to fix it, or at the very least, why it isn't working for you, so the developers can take that information, because believe me, they do. They have to waddle through a lot of Blizz are a bunch of asshole comments to find every now and then somebody giving something constructive saying, hey, this quest, I don't really know if this fits in. It doesn't make sense with what's going on. Or I don't like the way this artifact weapon sort of looks. It looks a little buggy in this scenario. Or this character model's off. Any little thing that people will blow up on the forums, make it into an articulate statement and submit it, because devs do read this. And we as a community need this. We need these voices of reason to go, hold on. Before we start rioting, which I'm looking at you again, Rogues, before we start rioting, let's take a moment, take a breath, and look at this from the way an unbiased person would look at it. And how can we fix this? How can we as a community take this on and approach from a better way? That's what we need. We need that from you guys more than anything else, is to sit there and go, we want to improve this. If you really want to make this game better, take the time to make it better. Don't just complain on forums and have a 3-paragraph thing about you hating Blizzard and why Blizzard hates you. Make it a 3-paragraph statement about why something isn't working and what can be done to fix it, or at the very least, a good reason why you don't like it. And don't turn it into a shouting contest. There is nothing that needs to be in all caps. I know I'm speaking with a little bit of a raised voice because there's something I'm passionate about just when it comes to beta in general. Nothing needs to be in all caps. There's a way to do it, and there's a way to make yourself sound like you really care, and that's what you want to do. If you keep saying that you care about this game and that you don't want Blizzard to ruin it, help them and help us as a community strengthen the game. That's all we're looking for, and that's the best thing you can do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that's pretty much a good statement to kind of send everybody off with. And really just to add to that, like you said, if you get into the beta, remember that it's a beta. It's not there so that you get to get early access. Same thing with the PTR. In recent years, the PTR has devolved into Method and other higher ranking guilds going in and doing raid content, when really the PTR is there for tuning, testing, so on and so forth. Use it as such. Find out what's
right.
wrong.
The beta is not an early access. It's not an early view. It's not a complete product. It is just what a beta has always been, which is an unreleased client that is used for the purpose of testing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that, guys, is all I have for you. I am not sure if there's anything you want to add. Tragedy. But,
I think we've gone through pretty much everything. I think we had a chance to go over some of the bigger features of Legion coming out of it. I'm sure we're going to be going more over the next coming weeks as we get more interviews from, or more information from these interviews that devs have been doing on Icy Veins and some of these other outlets. So for now, yeah, I think we're good. I think we've sort of wrapped up our week in Azeroth.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure that like I said, I can't really think of anything else. But once again, it's Monday night. I am Brandon. This is Tragedy.
And I'm Tragedy.
This has been your weekly reset, ladies and gentlemen.